Good morning, my loves. Welcome back to another reading vlog. It is actually very late in the weekend. It is Sunday. It is early Sunday, probably a little before 8, maybe 7:30. I wondered whether or not I should film this weekend, but I decided to go ahead and film because I wanted to sort of establish a sense of normality and just sort of charge ahead. So I'm going to share something with you, and it's not necessarily super happy, and I hate to start this vlog on a serious note, but I figured, you know, a lot of people out there film a lot of like the highlight reel of their life, and you know, it's not always necessarily the most realistic, it's not necessarily the most genuine all the time. And you know what, I don't blame them, because life is hard, and it's hard enough to sort of witness that when you're trying to sort of escape things. I mean, I come to YouTube a lot to escape things. I like to see pieces of other people's lives, how they sort of just operate, especially when it comes to books. I come for happy reasons, recommendations, feeling like I belong with a community. All of this is to say is that I've been reading a lot this weekend, but I've also been through a lot. My wonderful dog Max is not doing so well. We received news that he has acute leukemia, and we brought him into the ER last week. We just got him home last night, that is Saturday night, and he's doing a lot better. But to be realistic, you know, it's not, leukemia in dogs is not curable. They can go into remission, but in reality, there is a sort of time limit to not to get too, you know, into that. But beyond that, you will see footage of him in this vlog, and I'll be honest, it's completely selfish. I want to have more footage of him so I can look back, but also because he is such a pivotal part of my life. I got him as an adult about 5 years ago, and he is just the sweetest dog. And you know, this vlog is going to be filled with happy things, because he makes me happy. He is a happy dog, and I just wanted to just give you guys an update as to where I am currently in this weekend, why I'm filming on a Sunday, and why I look really tired, because I haven't slept very well lately. But you know what, I'm happy to have him home after him being in the ER. We, you know, brought him to the ER when he was doing really badly, and now he's sort of almost normal, and it's really heartening to see. So we're going to treat, you know, the next coming days as normal as possible and just spend as much time. Again, I hope I'm not being too terribly depressing. I'm trying to convey that, you know, there's a certain realness to every YouTuber's life that they don't share, and maybe this is in poor taste, I don't know, but this is the reality of it. My reading doesn't stop. This is another reason why I wanted to sort of film, is because one of the biggest comforts right now is being able to slip into a book. Sometimes I don't have the focus really. I will sort of open a book and then not be able to read more than a page or so before I get up and pace nervously around. But you know, it's a great comfort to be able to be surrounded by books right now, and just slip into another world really. And I've been reading a lot despite everything. It's been, like I said, a very big comfort, and it's the one thing I can do with Max right now, because well, he has more energy right now, so we can probably take him on walks, but beforehand he was not doing so well. He was running a fever, so before we put him in the ER, all I could do was sit around and read with him. And you know, another reason why I wanted to film this, I'm sorry, I'm rambling now, but another reason I wanted to film this was because I'm sure people have gone through this, and I'm sure people have felt very overwhelmed, and wasn't sure if it was right to share. And I felt that. You know, if I shared my struggles with people, they would just sort of judge me or dismiss me because I'm such a big animal person. One of the reasons I'm vegan, actually the entire reason I'm vegan, but I've always been a big animal person, and I knew that, you know, dogs are so perfect that they will always, you know, live shorter lives than us because they just don't have to work on themselves. They're already perfect. They teach us so much. And I knew it was going to be tough, but, you know, I feel like no one really talks about it. And here I am talking about it. So, you know, if you're out there and you're going through something, or you have been through something recently, or even not recently, I understand, and I'm here. And, you know, if you ever want to chat, feel free to DM me or comment down below, because it's tough and it's overwhelming and you don't know how to talk about it. But anyway, I've now rambled to you for way too long. It's been like 5 minutes. Let's talk about books, right? Okay, now that I have rambled to you for forever and a half about things that don't relate to books, let's talk about books. So Friday and Saturday, I went ahead and finished The Girl in the Tower by Catherine Arden. So this is the sequel to The Bear and the Nightingale. And if you're not familiar, I love The Bear and the Nightingale. That was a 5-star read for me. And it's basically a dark Russian fairy tale centering around this girl named Vasya, and there are little Russian folklore demons and little patron saints. Oh God, it's fantastic. It truly is sort of like a darker fairy tale. And sequels, man. Can we talk about sequels? Sometimes the middle book in a trilogy is nowhere near as fulfilling as the first or the last book in a trilogy. This did not disappoint. I put this down, I finished it, and I really thought I was just gonna go ahead and like move on to my next book, which is Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay. But I had to sit with this for the rest of the night. I had to just put this down, let myself be in a book hangover, and man, it was beautiful. It was absolutely encapsulating. I can't recommend this series enough. I'm going to order the 3rd book. I have so many books already that I need to read. I've ordered so many, but whatever. We're just gonna let this addiction just fully take over, as if it hasn't already been taking over for a while. Anyway, 5 out of 5 stars. Love this so much. Recommend it so much. Now, let's talk about my second book of the weekend. And I'm sorry I didn't have any footage of me reading The Girl in the Tower. That was when the height of everything with my dog Max was happening, and it was just much too stressful to really film. I'm sure you'll understand, but I'm here now. So, Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay. So, the general gist of this book is sort of complicated, but what it centers around is a family, and particularly the story of the 2 daughters in the family, the Barrett family. And there is an older sister named Marjorie, and then there's a younger sister named Meredith. Marjorie was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and then it sort of evolved into a possible possession type exorcist deal. This is a horror novel, and this is my first Paul Tremblay book, and honestly, it's intense. It's great. You know, I don't know how to explain how I feel about this book, because I really love the subject of exorcisms and possessions. I don't know why. I grew up Catholic, and for some reason that always fascinated me. I'm not a practicing Catholic anymore, but I don't know, the folklore of the Bible, like the scarier things like demons and the revelations, stuff like that, has always been interesting to me. So exorcisms have always sort of captured my interest. This definitely is written in a very specific style. There is a narrative to it, but then there's also like inserts of like, it switches perspective into like an internet blog, because at one point in the 2 sisters story, the family decides to have sort of a show filmed about their story. It's sort of like one of those unsolved mysteries, sort of like Haunting in Connecticut type of format, where they have reenactments, there's interviews with the real people, and the internet blog perspective in the story sort of analyzes the show. And what's so interesting is that it's almost an analysis within a story. So you're almost able to break down the skepticism of the story of whether there actually is a possession or an exorcism going on. And then you have the real narrative of the younger sister, Mary, who has to go through this with her possessed sister, Marjorie. So I've heard that you don't actually ever really know whether it's a real exorcism or not. And I think that's sort of true to form. Like, even if you take a hard look at any sort of exorcism case, fictional or non-fictional, it's hard to determine whether this individual who's being possessed is just having a bad bout of mental health. Like, they could be schizophrenic, they could be manic or bipolar or something like that. But then how do you quantify, how do you get tangible evidence of a demon being possessed, or of a demon possessing a person? And I don't have the answers to that, and I'm really interested. I am on page 99, and this is less than 300 pages, so I'm about halfway through, and I'm really loving the writing. If you're into horror, I've been highly recommended by many horror fanatics, horror novel fanatics, and I think this is going to be great. Okay, I have now rambled to you for much longer, so here we are. Let's get reading. Hello friends, so it hasn't been very long since I left you. I just wanted to check in. I've only read like 7 more pages, but I wanted to, sorry, my dog got up and I just wanted to see if he needed to go out. But I wanted to check in because I forgot to mention that primarily this book, Head Full of Ghosts, is told from the perspective of the younger sister, Mary. And I think it's really interesting. So one of the things that I think people who aren't into horror movies or books in general don't understand is that horror is very much based on emotional reaction. A lot of it is visceral or hyperbolic. So a lot of, things in horror are exaggerated so that they can get reactions from you as the viewer or the consumer. And I think that the interesting thing about Paul Tremblay's sort of writing style and using the younger sister who is not possessed, the older sister is possessed, Marjorie, using the younger sister's perspective is that you get more of an emotional side of possession. And I'm sure there will be lots more scares because I'm barely halfway through this book, but I think one of the scariest things about possession is just the realities of it. Whether you believe it's possession or not, it really takes a toll on your family, especially if you're the younger sister and you don't really understand what's going on. You see your parents sort of struggling with the realities of sending your older sister to psychiatrists and hospitals, the finances, the fighting between the parents. It's the sort of interesting perspective of loss. Every time Mary's older sister has to go away to the hospital or to a psychiatrist, even though Mary's older sister Marjorie is scary because she is quote unquote being possessed, Mary still misses her. Mary still wants her around because that's her older sister. That's someone that she's looked to for all of her life. And I just think that's a really interesting perspective. So this book is not only scary and unsettling, but it's also truly intelligent and interesting and just fantastic writing, and it's emotional, and it's really sort of like hitting a chord with me. So I just had to check in and tell you that. All right, more reading. Look who's up and about. Hi, Booba, my Maxie. So I just got back from a walk and I listened to my audiobook, The Governess Game. I'm still listening to this Tessa Dare book, but it is so good. The banter is so good and they're finally coming together and I'm here for it. But now we must read more of, I always got the book backwards, Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay. And it's upside down. Cool. I'm doing great as a booktuber right now. I am on page 145, so I'm making decent headway. I just started it yesterday, I think. So we're gonna go ahead and read on this beautiful day with my little pups by me. Look at him. Isn't he the best? Isn't he precious?
Inside of me, it's a deep hole where I bleed. Oh, can I seal it? You're like an ocean without land, not a single grain of sand. I'm drifting on it, so cold yet warm. When you hold me, when you close, I know.
Hello, my loves. So it is, what is today? Tuesday. It's Tuesday morning. If you think I look like hot garbage, you're right. I have not been sleeping very well, mostly because of my sick little doggy Max. I've just been worried about him through the night, but I'm not going to get too serious into that. Really, what I wanted to talk to you about is how I may also not be sleeping well because I keep reading horror. Like, there is that. So I finished last night, or rather yesterday afternoon, Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay. Guys, this book is fucked. I'm gonna post a full review on my channel of this book because there's just so many thoughts that I have that I haven't even like fully gathered and fully processed. But I did want to wrap up this vlog because I know it was a short one and I'm not gonna ramble too much, I hope, but this book is crazy. There was a portion in the middle where I was like, what is happening in this book? Like, this is not really that scary. I don't really know what's happening. And then the ending happens. And I just had to sit there and simmer for a second. I didn't simmer for too long because I've already started The Shining by Stephen King, and I'll get into that in my next vlog. But I don't have words for this yet. I just don't. All I'm going to say is that I am hungrily awaiting my next Paul Tremblay book. Probably going to try and order Cabin at the End. Is it Cabin at the End of the World? Yeah, Cabin at the End of the World. Apparently that's sort of like a home invasion horror novel, and I'm into that sort of thing. Yeah, there was just a part that sort of dragged in the beginning. It lulled me into a sort of false sense of security. I thought it was like getting to be kind of a boring book, if I'm being honest. And then the ending happened, and you know what? It kind of reminded me of some of my favorite slow burn horror movies where they sort of just like creep along, they build and build, and then they sort of like hit this like point right before the climax where you're like, what the hell is going on in any of this? And then things happen, the ending happens, and then you're just sitting there wondering what your life has been all about before this book and what it'll be like after this book. So that's where I'm at. Needless to say, I am now like balls deep in a horror sort of like phase. I don't want to read anything else except horror right now. So you've got a lot of horror books to see from me in the upcoming videos. I'll get back to fantasy eventually, but right now I'm really enjoying being like scared. But that's not new. Anyway, guys, I'm sorry this vlog was a little strange with just like how things are going on in my life. But I did want to film, like I said in the beginning, because, you know, things happen in people's lives and they don't always show it on YouTube. But I wanted to get back to a sense of normalcy, and I wanted to talk about this book. So I will catch you guys next time in a more fleshed out vlog, and I hope you enjoyed this one regardless. And if you did, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. It really helps my channel, and hit that notification bell so you always know when I've got good things coming to you. Bye, y'all.